Remember, we are 11 days out now to the election, but in North Carolina, more than 2 million ballots have already been cast. That is a quarter of the registered votes in that state. And there is intense scrutiny, not just on the race for the White House, but the race for governor there, especially with scandals surrounding gubernatorial candidate Mark Robinson, including online comments on a porn site in which he called himself a, quote, black Nazi. Joining us now, North Carolina Attorney General Josh Stein. A.G. Stein is the Democratic nominee for governor of North Carolina. Thank you very much for joining us. I know your state has been through a lot in these past few weeks, and it's been tough going down there. First off, there's concern. I certainly had this concern after I saw that flooding in Asheville and the surrounding areas, that the people there would have a harder time voting. Will voting still be possible and easy in the places that were affected negatively by that storm a few weeks ago?
Katie, the West was absolutely devastated. The western part of North Carolina, 25 counties under a state of emergency. Essentially, just imagine from Georgia to Virginia and everything in the western third of the state impacted in many places in devastating fashion. But here's the thing. Voting is already happening in all of those counties. We've been early voting since a week ago, Thursday, and the numbers are encouraging out west. The legislature was in session yesterday, and one of the bills they considered was expanding early voting sites in a couple of the hard-hit counties where there weren't enough voting locations. But I've talked with the county managers in these small rural counties, and they say every early voting site will be open and every precinct will be open on Election Day.
There are folks out there who are trying to claim that the storm hard-hit Republican counties and counties that Donald Trump was going to likely do well in. And if Donald Trump doesn't win the state of North Carolina, there should be some sort of do-over. It won't be fair because of that. What do you say to them?
Well, most of the counties are predominantly Republican, but the two most populous are predominantly Democratic. And so I think in the end, it'll end up being a wash. But I'm not worried about that because the people of Western North Carolina are being heard in this election. Their voice will be counted in our democracy, and we will see who wins.
Why do you think you're doing so well in the polls? You're up by 14 points. Usually it's a bit tighter for the governor's race in North Carolina. It was tighter for Roy Cooper in 2016, and but he was able to win by a decent margin. Do you think it's do you think it's your messaging, or do you think it's that Lieutenant Governor Robinson is just surrounded by scandal?
Well, one certainty is that the numbers are going to be much closer come Election Day. Already I'm seeing a tightening in a number of the public and internal polls. That's what happens. Elections in North Carolina are always close. My election 4 years ago, I won by 4 or 5 votes per precinct across the state. It's just how elections go in North Carolina. I'm hopeful that we prevail and prevail comfortably. My philosophy from day one of this race has been that if the voters really understood who I am and what my vision is, what my experience has been, and contrast that with Lieutenant Governor Robinson, that they would choose our campaign. And of course, the election's not happened yet. I'm hopeful they will make that choice throughout early voting and come Election Day on November 5th.
I'm wondering what you do think of your opponent. I'm just going to list some of the things that he said. Again, CNN reporting that he called himself a black Nazi on a porn website that's been covered quite a bit. He also said slavery is not bad. Some people need to be slaves. I wish they would bring it back. I would certainly buy a few. He's said that abortion is really about women who can't keep their legs closed or who can't, their skirts won't stay down. He's referred to Muslims as invaders. I mean, he said a lot of pretty outrageous stuff. How is a guy like that at the top of the ticket for the Republican Party, in your opinion?
I hope it's because enough voters didn't know how awful his views are. The CNN story just filled with despicable revelations. But there's not a person who has studied this race closely in recent months who needed that story to know that he is singularly unfit to be the governor. He shouldn't hold any office of public trust, let alone the governorship. And so I am absolutely committed as a North Carolinian, independent of what I want to do as governor and what I believe my qualifications are. I am desperate to win this race so that that man is not my governor, is not the governor of North Carolina, is not the representative of the people. And, you know, we're working our tails off to get that message across. If viewers want to learn more, help out, do phone calls, contribute, joshstein.org.
Josh, Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General, I'm so sorry. What's your biggest priority? What do you want to do if you get elected?
Public education. Well, obviously, priorities have now been impacted by Hurricane Helene. We have to do everything we can to help the folks of Western North Carolina get back up on their feet. But over the long term, strengthening public education. We've always been immensely proud of what we've accomplished in our public schools in North Carolina, and yet our Republican General Assembly is hollowing out public schools in this state. They have dropped us to 48th in the country and per pupil investment, which is a disgrace. They've now got universal vouchers for anybody who sends their kid to private school, no matter if the kid ever went to public school, no matter what the wealth of the parents are. $500 million they're taking out of public education to give to unaccountable private schools. So reorienting the state's commitment to our school children, who are the workforce of the future. We all have a vested interest in their ultimate success.
Attorney General of the great state of North Carolina, running for governor, Josh Stein. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Katie.
And we've reached out to Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson to join us on this show. We have not heard back from him. He has not responded.